The United States has already had a busy day attacking.
And it was shocking, and it was awesome. And warning on a scale that was shock and awe.
Shock and awe.
Shock and awe.
If you have to ask, is this shock and awe, you're not seeing it.
We refuse to carry on business as usual while American soldiers and Iraqi civilians die under the machinery of war.
There was a website set up between American archaeologists and the Pentagon many weeks ago, listing those areas of vital national heritage to Iraq which might be looted, damaged, stormed, or burned. The museum was on that list. When I got to the museum, which is far more than a week ago, there were gun battles going on between rioters and looters, bullets skittering up the walls of apartment blocks outside. The looting was on a most detailed, precise, and coordinated scale. The people knew what they wanted to go for. Those Grecian statues that they didn't want, they decapitated and threw to the floor. Those earrings and gold ornaments and bull ring gods that they wanted to take, they took. And within a few days, those priceless heritage items of Iraq's history were on sale in Europe and in America. I don't believe that that happened by chance. And in the city of Baghdad, against all the international conventions, particularly the Geneva Convention, which have a specific reference to pillage. In fact, pillage appears as a crime against humanity in the Hague Conventions in 1907, upon which the Geneva Conventions of 1949 were based. There is a whole reference to pillage, and the Americans did nothing. They did nothing to prevent the pillage of the entire cultural history of Iraq, of the museum or the documentary history of the National Archives, or the Quranic library of the Ministry of Religious Endowment, or of the 155 other government locations around Baghdad. And one has to ask the question, why was this permitted to happen? I don't know the answer.
Countdown in Iraq will continue in a moment.
The art world is calling for an amnesty program to help return some of Iraq's stolen art treasures.
World. We may never know just how many ancient treasures were actually stolen when looters rampaged through the museum in Baghdad.
At the Iraqi National Museum, nothing short of an international cultural tragedy. He says it's like the cradle of civilization going up in smoke. Over the weekend, is everywhere. This morning, a suspicious fire torched what's believed to be the oldest library in Baghdad. It housed valuable books and a handwritten version of the Quran. 170,000 artifacts
is equivalent, so that our American viewers can understand it, to a looting party taking the entire Smithsonian and destroying everything in it.
After the looting of the National Museum in Baghdad, April 10th to 12th, 2003, it was reported that among the artifacts stolen was a version of the well-loved ram caught in a thicket from the tombs of Ur, 2500 BC. The title was based on its having been mistaken for the ram in an episode in the Old Testament. It is now recognized as a rearing goat with a flowering plant. This poem was written the day a story datelined Ur with a photo of the now deposed General Garner appeared on the front page of the New York Times. Dateline Ur. A ram caught in the thicket has gone missing, believed to have gone missing, when they carried off the silver harp of Sumer, smashed the freshly dug up clay tablets, with the stories we won't get to hear, trashed the catalogs that would remember. Could have been a thicket you foundered into, stalled in some Sumerian Arcadia, but for us you were always dancing. You were actually feeding from a tree of life. Tender shoots willingly offered. You appeared to be safe in London. Did you tremble when they ransacked the one left in Baghdad, the good replica? It was only in the 1920s or so when you and your real brother were farmed out to the cold museums of the glad imperial connoisseurs. At least you could be seen and thought about in Bloomsbury and Philadelphia. The smiling ram is only mildly surprised by the font of abundance, placidly enraptured as if all along he knew it would be there. ram caught in a thicket, beloved grazing among lilies. Dateline Ur. Yesterday, under a tent spread wide as the dreams of Abraham, guarded by heavy security at Talil Air Force Base, those who want to hold on, to keep, to grab, to administer, to loot, to have a piece of the action gathered. These are the men for whom it's now or never. They decide what is renewable or not. Oil in their eyes, limitless as greed. What if imagination is no longer renewable, starting tomorrow? General Garner, Viceroy in denim, relaxes, chair tilted back, like one who seeks no gain for himself, knowing he owns it all, for the foreseeable future.
We are standing here in front of Oriental Department. And the computers, the supplement units, the books, books about in Kurdish and in Arabic and in Persian language and Turkish language. Yes.
تقريبا how many volumes?
2000. The ordinary thief or robber came here. He can maybe steal a chair, air condition, supplement unit. But the books, they are coming to steal the most precious books we have here. Also the manuscripts and the microfilms. They are specialists. They know the value of these books.
بالنسبة للغات الشرقيات كان عندكم عربي، فرنسي وكردي وسورياني أو غير لغات كمان.
سورياني عندنا.
إيه.
هاي اللغات الشرقية.
وأجنبية.
الأجنبية تعرف أجنبي يعني كلها فرنسي ألماني، يمكن أنت تعرف المجمع ولهذا جبت الأخوية جبتهم من المجمع حتى يشوفون حالنا. أنت شايف المجمع قبل.
إيه بعرف.
المنظمات البقية اليونسكو وينها؟ ما تعرف عن المجمع؟ ليش ما معروف بالمجمع؟
أي مشكلة.
ليش بدها تجي على المجمع؟ ليش بيت الحكمة تعمرت وصارت وانصرفت عليها ملايين الدنانير والدولارات؟ ليش المجمع؟ المجمع الأقدم من بيت الحكمة بسنة 1996 يلا تأسس، المجمع العلمي من 48 تأسس، زين، ليش ماكو اهتمام بالمجمع؟ ليش المجمع مركون على الرف؟ ليش؟ شنو السبب؟ وين المنظمات؟ بس يداعون بس دار صدام وفلان احترق وفلان احترق والآثار راحت، الآثار هسه حتى لو راحت الجديد، وهاي مؤسسة علمية، أول مؤسسة علمية أنت تعرف؟
إيه نعرف يعني نعرف.
I'm Amal Al-Khaderi. I'm Iraqi, and I lived in this area. This house belongs to my father. He built it in the early 20th century. I turned it into a craft center. Actually, it is the first craft center in Baghdad. We didn't have any center for the craftsmen. We tried to keep as much as we could the essence of the building, and as you see, it's almost, you know, it has this essence of the past in it. So many people who joined us here suffered from war. They needed some help, and it was a great help for them, not only spiritually but financially as well.
What was it like the last time the United States bombed Baghdad?
What was it like? Could words, I don't think words would express the feeling of the people. It was like hell opening its gates on us. It was day and night, everywhere. It wasn't a clever bombing, as they said. It hurt every single Iraqi, and the result of it is even worse. what? To do what? Have a new building given to us? We don't want cement. This is culture, what we lost, and what they destroyed. Not our culture only, it's humanity, it's human heritage, this one. For 5,000–6,000 years, Iraq has been giving to humanity all this. You can't give it to us. Generation after generation, each generation, each culture. Iraq is not only, so many cultures in Iraq, and each have tried to build up, you know, put some stone into this huge pyramids, and the pyramids is down. I used to tell you, it's not Saddam. Iraq is not Saddam. That's the mistake you did. Everybody talked about Saddam. This is Iraq. I kept telling them, this is Iraq. It's not one man. It's generations. It's history. Why are you destroying history?
مواد كيميائية انذبت بالأرض وبدت تتفجر منه وبيها. هاي اللي سوته هي. احنا عنيد يعتبر من ضمنهم لأنه هو رفض يخرج شكو كتب شكو مواد. هذا أثر الكتب اللي بقى، هذه أثر الكتب كلها بحيث تحولت إلى رماد أبيض. هون كانت المكتبة البنات الموظفات بالطرف الثاني، بس هنا كانت عبارة عن ميوزة وكراسي يقعدون بها الطلاب. الأوركنديشنات كانت موجودة هنا سرقت، والبناية هنا حرقوها.
يعني أبو الطيارة ليش يضرب
بناية
عتيقة؟
ليش معنى على المكتبة؟
ليش مو احنا على المكتبة؟
ليش مو بالحديقة؟ لأن هذا أهم شيء بالكلية كليتي. وهذا مستقبل الدراسات العليا بالعراق.
لا هم
أعز شيء ببلدنا هو هذا التاريخ.
طبعا لا طبعا.
ويعني بدون سبب هيك، يعني أنا أخوي راح، بس يمكن من أجي بالكلية ألتهي أقرأ أدرس، بس من أشوف هيك بعد تزيد مأساة.
هاي حريق بس من غير مكتبات أخضر.
من هم يعني؟
I don't know anything.
30,000 كتاب من بها رسومات أو كتب أجنبية لرسامين عالميين أصليين، أطاريح من سنة السبعينات من أساتذتنا اللي جايين من دول الاشتراكية دول أمريكا مترجمة، كلها كانت هونك احترقت.
Efforts. We're joined right now by Andrew Lawler, who is the archaeology correspondent for Science magazine.
The idea that this museum would be destroyed was particularly appalling, given that since 1970, everything that is dug up in Iraq, every legal excavation, everything has to go to this museum. So there was untold tens of thousands, as much as maybe 200,000 objects, most of which were probably not well cataloged, a lot of which had not been studied, and a lot of objects such as clay tablets, which had never been deciphered. So the loss is absolutely incalculable. It's certainly comparable to the burning of the library at Alexandria, the sack of Constantinople, or the conquistador invasions of the Inca and Aztec cultures.
You know, the question really is, what does it mean to purposefully destroy somebody's cultural heritage? There was a tremendous amount of material that was taken from the regional museums. And I'm not sure exactly how many of these museums there are, but they literally lost thousands of artifacts, very few of which were recovered. And it's not clear who took those, whether, you know, it was simply Iraqis or there were American soldiers involved, or There was an incredible effort by archaeologists afterwards and by art historians to try to catalog what was missing, and a series of publications that were issued in 3 fascicules called Lost Heritage that were pretty widely distributed. They were given out for free just in the hopes that, that people would run across these things on the market and try to return them. Most countries have antiquities laws. And so, for instance, Iraq has a series of antiquities laws that I think were first proposed in the late 30s and then were ratified in the early 40s that largely prohibit any kind of transfer of antiquities from that country. You simply can't export them. It's illegal. This isn't farmers finding objects in their fields. This is a systemic process of looting that is going on. And, this is literally, armies of people. These are set up like companies or corporations. These people, they go out there and they have bulldozers and dump trucks and, heavy equipment and hundreds of people, and they have their own security protocols. They have people out there with machine guns and rocket launchers and everything else, and they're systemically looting these places. And that's the consequence of the breakdown of law and order throughout that entire society. It's not a matter of if they should come across something. I mean, these sites are rich. The idea that a lot of people in the general public may have that somehow to find ancient things is rare is simply not the truth in a place like Iraq. Iraq is filled with valuable artifacts and valuable objects and with history. And there are, tens of thousands of sites probably that have important stuff in them. So talking about the evolution of these city-states and talking about our own evolution as humans in a modern sense, and by that I'm talking about a cognitive dimension. I'm not talking about a biological dimension. I'm talking about how we think, who we are, how we structure societies, how we interact with the world. The fundamental evidence for that and the documentation for a lot of that resided within the Baghdad Museum and resides within the actual archaeological sites themselves and heavily looted. I saw photos of Umma, which is a major site. It was the capital of the Kassite Empire. And I saw these photographs last week. It has been so systematically looted that what it basically appears to look like, if you look at the photographs, is it's just a series of holes. It's completely pockmarked. I believe that the site can no longer be excavated. In order to do any excavation there whatsoever, you would have to take bulldozers out there. You'd need a fleet of them. And you would probably have to scrape a meter or several meters of the top of the site off and see what you could get from underneath it. I mean, it would be a tremendous task, a task that probably nobody could afford, and probably a task that no archaeologist could deal with psychologically.
على مر الزمن تظهر أو تنطي إسقاطات بحيث ما يعود هناك ثقافة. إضافة لهذا الحالة الأمنية اللي الآن مفقودة نهائيا، لا يمكن أن يقام مسرح، حتى المعارض إقامتها ضعيفة وقليلة، تجمعات ثقافية حقيقية ما تتم خوفا من المسألة الأمنية واسعة. كل هذه الحقيقة ضايعة حاليا. على مر الزمن حيبدي تدهور ثقافي في العقلية وخصوصا بالنسبة للجيل الجديد. في حقيقة الأمر أنه الاحتلال هو احتلال عسكري وثقافي، لأن الاحتلال الآن ألغى العقلية الحضارية العراقية السابقة من خلال هذه الفوضى الآن الموجودة. إضافة لهذا أنه الاحتلال فتح غطاء كان مغلق، وهو الطائفية والعرقية والأثينية. كل هذه الآن قبت فبدأت تظهر أشياء حقيقة العراقي ما نفكر بيها من الطائفية والعرقية وما شابه. حقيقة أردنا أن نحرك الوضع الثقافي ونوجد فرد كتلة ثقافية مناهضة للرأي الشمولي.
يعني بلا شك أنه الاحتلال هو عبارة عن نص وجد لإلغاء وجود، بالمقابل هناك نص مناهض يصر على وجوده. أعتقد أنه اشتغال المثقفين بهذا الجانب سواء كان بالقصة أو بالمقالة أو بالفكرة حكما أيا كانت توجهاتهم، كانوا مع المشروع الأمريكي أم ضد المشروع الأمريكي، هم حتما يخرجون كلهم من هذا السياق.
يعني يقول لك أنه هذا هدم للبنية الثقافية، بين أنه مثلا اللي جاي يصير الأحداث اللي جاي يصير حاليا اللي أنت ذكرت بعض المعضلات بعض الصعوبات، أنه تعتقد أنه هي أحد الأهداف لهدم.
بالضبط صحيح، لأنه عملية تفكيك كما جاء بها جاك دريدة، تفكيك البنية الاجتماعية وإعادة تركيبها من جديد، ما يعود سوى التفكير بالأكل والجنس، لأنه الرأسمالية العالمية يهمها الإمبريالية العالمية يهمها أنه أن تتمكن من الاستحواذ على كل شيء في الكرة الأرضية وعلى الشعوب.
What does it mean to purposefully destroy somebody's cultural heritage? If you want to destroy a people, destroy their history with it. The writing of history is sort of in the eyes and in the hands of the victors. If you remove historical evidence, if you get rid of archives, if you get rid of libraries, if you wipe away cultural monuments, if you wipe away somebody's cultural heritage, then there is no evidence any longer about who a people are.
On March 5th, 2003, at the Metropolitan Museum in New York City, artists held a silent anti-war draw-in in the Assyrian galleries as an act of respect for the civilizations of Mesopotamia and for the threatened cultural sites of Iraq. This poem is called Drawing the Assyrians. Our sketching pencils tell us who you were. Your hands as long as your forearms, long curved fingers tending the tree of life. Your feet in their sandals equally long, cascading toes taking the ground seriously. From curve of shoulder to curve of buttock, one clear contour ran, singing like a shoreline seen from high in the air. You were happy with your bare, solid shoulders. There was always some smell of spring, boxwood, mulberry, cedar, cypress, pistachio, tamarisk, or poplar, fashioned into Ashur-nasirpal's palace, there in Kalu, later Nimrod. Was this how it felt then to be alive? Knowing their bodies as bodies are known by touch? Bodies sensing themselves as surfaces, spread out, embraced by space, not scaffolded by muscle and bone. Such small, tender parts are indicated. The hollow at the wrist, knob of elbow like the tip of a lemon. Those kneecaps signaled by 3 horizontal ridges. I had to press down hard over my knee with the palm of my hand to get that idea. A rainy light from a 19th century atelier shrouds us, camped out on this floor at the Met in our impertinent devotion. Winged hawkbeak creatures fertilize another blooming tree of life with sponges shaped like hand grenades or pineapples, saturated with oil and pollen. Their gardening pails look like ladies' purses. Someone from Paper Tiger Video mutters, "Don't bomb the chicken-headed ladies." The news scrolls by on bands of cuneiform passing at the groin across your garments. Look how the letters seem to float just above the etched fabric. Cuneiform marks so cleanly chiseled, they might have been stroked into resilient clay. This may have been the work of captive craftsmen. Oh, don't bomb the chicken-headed ladies. Oh, don't bomb Nineveh. Don't bomb Ur. Don't bomb the last of the ziggurats, which tells us what the Tower of Babel looked like. Oh, don't bomb human bodies while they still hold immortal life.